blossoms of flower make you feel the atmosphere of spring. Take a look behind me. We have just entered spring here in Xinjiang, but in some southern part of the country, they are ready to enter summer. I'm right now in the northern part of Xinjiang, and you can see the flowers of peach and apples and plums, and they have just started to blossom. I'm at the Ilisak Autonomous Prefecture in Xinjiang. To make it more specific, at the Ili River Valley, and this is known for its 300 kilometers long wild orchard. So, what makes this place different? Now take a look at this video clip. Isn't this splendid?
是不是格外
I've
格
thought
外？
of a lot of words and adjectives, and it's vast, it's beautiful, it's magnificent, it's mind-blowing and mind-boggling, and this is the beauty of Xinjiang. And standing just at where I am right now, behind me you can see the snow-covered mountains, and below that you have the blossoms of the orchard, and it's just beautiful. It's breathtaking, and this is quite unique. But where is this? Where is this beauty from? I'm right now at the Ili River Valley, and this is a place with a unique meteorological characteristics. The valley is located in the west of Xinjiang, and it's surrounded by 3 river valleys on its 3 directions. And because of this place is cool in summer and warm in winter. Even in Xinjiang, this is considered a very pleasant climate. So that is why we have so many wild fruit trees here. And from a distance, you can see they are standing separately. This is a very vast orchard belt. They have been here for millions of years, and they are the true owners of this universe, according to experts, because of the climate of Yili River Valley. Before the fourth ice age, those orchards, they survived because of the distinct climate, and that's how they are still here today. And they are the most precious orchard resources. And talking about this, we have to bring on stage an expert who's going to tell you how precious this orchard belt is. So we have our guest today, Mr. Liu. Good morning. And Mr. Liu is from the Forest Bureau of Yili Prefecture. His name is Liu Lingguo. Good morning to all the viewers of CMG. My name is Liu Wenguo. I'm the head of the Forest Bureau of Yili. I heard that you are local here. Yes, I'm a local here. I grew up with such beautiful scenery. So I think all the people in Yili are very proud of such scenery. Yes, whenever I come here, I take some videos and photos. I post them on a social media network, and I can harvest a lot of likes. And I heard that a lot of travelers did travel long distance to this place just to take a look at the wild orchard valley. I know this is a very long valley, very long belt. It goes from the very west to the east of the river valley. And can you tell us more? Well, it's 360 kilometers long and more than 300 meters wide. And this is a belt where we have the most fruit trees. You can take a look at the flowers that is blossoming. And before this program, I did my homework. Apart from the Daxi Valley, this is the western part of the Yili River Valley. If we go all the way to the east, we will pass the wild apricots, and also we have walnuts. We will also have in the Gongnas Valley to the Manati grassland. We have many other types of fruits. We have, for example, the apricots blossom. The apricots blossom is just beautiful, and it's the most dominant type of this river valley. And we have the apricot belt in Yili and also in Xinjiang County. Exactly because the wild apricot is very easily found here in this belt. Well, can I believe that this is the largest apricot belt in China? Yes, definitely. And this wild orchard belt, I believe it came all the way here from West Asia. Is that correct? Mainly it started from the west of Tian Shan Mountain, and it borders Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan. Its total length is more than 2,700 kilometers, and in Xinjiang, it has a total length of more than 350 kilometers, so it accounts for more than 40% of the wild orchard acre in China. I have traveled a lot of valleys recently, and wherever you go, you can see this orchard blossom. Even at the foot of the snow-capped mountain, there is a lot of peach blossoms. Well, if you go there, you see those red blossoms, and those are apricots trees. And I heard that in this river valley you have 60 different types of wild trees, and here we have a couple of them. This one, for example, is very unique. The leaves will grow out first. It's started to bud, but the blossom has not yet started. It will blossom in mid-May, and this is the wild hawthorn. In the river valley, we have three types of hawthorns, and this is just one type of that. It's called jungle hawthorn. It has a pointed edge towards the very end, and also its branches in a color of light red. Take a look. This is the small fruit. It's actually the fruit from last year. It's got dehydrated and it's still here this time of the year, and you can actually eat it. I don't know if you like hawthorn, and it's just very tasteful if you make it into the sugared hawthorn. So if we do nothing about it, it will fall on the ground and it will generate some new trees. Are those the small hawthorn trees? No, they are just bushes. Actually, around this tree, there are many different types of plants. For example, this one is a hawthorn. So we have a lot of roses here, and around it we have many different types of plants. And we have a lot of shrubs and bushes, and if we put the seed here, when all the conditions are met, it will bud, it will grow into a small hawthorn tree. If it can survive the wind and also the rain, it will grow into a tree just like this. So here, take a look. There are a lot of such hawthorns on the tree. So will people come here to pick them? We have in place some protection measures so it won't be affected. So what is this tree? It has white blossoms. Well, this is quite unique. Some blossom first before they give out the leaves, and this is quite unique, and we call it the cherry plum, and the locals call it differently. So this one only blossoms, but it won't give out the leaves. No, it will have leaves, but only on a later date. So this is quite unique, and we have one tree here, but it has two different pictures. On the one side, it only gives blossoms, and on the other side, the leaves come out first. This is quite unique, and we believe this is a very precious resource. So we are protecting and preserving this ecology, and because we want to cultivate its legacies. Yes, you said it very well. The Ili River Valley is quite important in terms of ecological resources, and it can be sustained to the present day because it has this adaptability to the natural environment. Here, take a look at this white blossom. You can see a lot of white blossom trees here, but between individual trees, there is a striking difference. Yes, I can tell they are of different colors, and all the white color blossoms, they belong to this particular tree called the cherry plums. According to our experts, they have actually 44 different sub-branches of cherry plums. We have, for example, based on the color of the fruit, we have black fruit, And we can also categorize this particular type according to the color of the branches. For the fruits, we have black, purple, and red fruits. They are of different colors. So this is the diversity of this part of the orchard belt. So different trees here, they have different features. Does that mean that we can combine them and cultivate some new types? For example, can we give birth to some new apple trees and cherry fruits? Well, this is something quite sophisticated, and we have actually an experiment in Daxi Prefecture, and we are selecting the best seed, and we also transplant different types of trees so that they can give birth to some new varieties. On the one hand, we are making this more diversified. On the other hand, we are also preserving the existing types of trees. Well, take a look at the stem, and this is quite similar to the bushes. Is that part of the shrub? It can become an independent shrub, and it can also become an arbor tree. But in general, it doesn't spread from the stem. So if it does that, we call it a shrub. Well, down there we can see a lot of wild hawthorns and apricots. Are there anything else? Well, let's walk to this tree. This one is also very special. For this tree, the leaves come out first before it blossoms. And take a look at the tree, and it's ready to blossom. And this is the wild apple tree in Xinjiang. It will blossom in the beginning of May, and it will become fully mature in July and August. This is quite amazing because we're just standing on such a small area of land, but we have already seen many different types of trees. Yes, this is an attestament to the biodiversity in this part of the country. You can have wild apples, hawthorns, cherries, plums, peaches. Also, we have many different types of shrubs. Together, they form an ecosystem, and they become part of the biodiversity landscape here. Well, thank you very much. I have learned a lot from your introduction. Well, let me say something here. I was asked by viewers watching this program, where is this place? And let me tell you again. We are right now at Hasak Prefecture at the Daxigo Mountain Valley in Huocheng County. It's quite easy to travel here because we have 20 airports in Xinjiang. We have one airport in Yili. You can take the flight and land in Yining or Yili Airport. And then with 1 hour ride, you can come here. And right now, we are at the outskirts of the car area. The local government has set up a reception center for tourists. So when tourists come here, they can just come to this part of the area. They can travel to the Daxi River Valley. You will not be able to enter the car area, but just the outskirts will make your trip worthwhile. All right, let's continue with our live streaming program. Let me bring to you another guest. We're just talking about the cherry blossom, and our next guest is the head of the Wild Plants Protection Center in Yili County. Good morning. My name is Wang Xuyuan. I'm the head of the Wild Cherry Plum Preservation Station in Daxigo of the Forest Bureau of Yili. Well, that's very well said, and you just repeated what I mentioned about you. Well, hearing from your introduction, I know that you are a local here. I can tell from the dialect. I can also tell from how confident you are standing here in front of our camera. Yes, you said it very well, and I'm a local here. I feel very proud growing up together with this beautiful scenery. I was here a couple of years ago. It was quite touching because the last time I came, I didn't travel here. The last time I was here, the local county government identified these resources, but they didn't immediately make a decision to open it to the public. They didn't quickly turn this into a tourist destination, and they were making some very careful plans. For example, they designated the car area and the outskirts area, and also they established some tourist routes so that the tourists they can follow designated paths in it, and when they are ready with all the infrastructures, they published the information of this place to the outside, and then it's only after that the tourists were able to come here to enjoy this world of blossoms. And when I first came here, I was astounded. All in my eyes were those blossoms. So this year we were very lucky seeing this beautiful scenery, and it's not here every year, and it's quite prone to the climate. So when was the last time that you saw this? Well, I think it has been 2 years. It's very prone to the climate, and the blossom season is very short. It's only 10 days, and it's just beautiful. And it's quite rare for you to see this. So that's why I have to tell our audience, no matter it's the wild apricot blossom or the plum blossom, they are everywhere on the mountain slopes. And this one, for example, this is a hawthorn tree, and it's not blossoming yet. If you watch up close, you can see it very clearly that this is very similar to another type of flower. It's very similar to plum blossom, but take a look at the flower buds, and it's very light, and it's quite it's quite prone to wind. When it rains, the flower buds will fall off on the ground. So that's why we see that. That's why we can see the blossom season is very short. Well, the tree in itself is very smart, and it blossoms from the root part to the upper part. This is simply to fight against the natural climate. The flowers at the bottom, they will blossom first, just so they are more immune to the wind. So they go layer by layer. Well, also different trees that different in terms of the time of blossom. Each tree grows on one seed, and there are no identical seeds in the world. They have different genes and DNAs, and this tells you why that they blossom at different times. So if you are lucky, you can come here at roughly the most appropriate time, and you can see a lot of trees blossoming. At lower altitude areas, the blossom would go first. Only after that you can see those blossoms at a higher latitude. Well, this is quite related to the climate. If you are very experienced, you will do your homework, you will check the weather, and if it's quite windy or if it snows, you won't come here at those bad weathers because it only takes one strong wind to vanish all those blossom flowers. So you have to do your homework before you come here. Yes, you said it very well, because this blossom, this beautiful scenery is very prone to climate. Sometimes you can only see that in the low latitude area, but let me tell you that when you are doing the homework, the flower season is different from one year after another. It's quite immune to the climate. When the climate is very pleasant, for example, if the temperature is ideal, the blossom would start earlier. If it's very cold, the blossom would take place in a very late season. So we are building an industrial park as we transplant different blossom flowers, so we can enable that whenever you come, you can enjoy this beautiful scenery of blossoms. Well, I believe that tourists, they're not just here for the blossoms. They're not just here to see how vast this wild orchard belt is, and they are here to see nature. They are here to see a nature that stands intact from human intervention, and it's not trimmed by human labors. And each year, in the beginning of April and to mid-April, there are a lot of travelers. Well, you may worry that you may come at the wrong season, but don't worry. We have many different trees, and they blossom at different seasons of the year. For example, in Gongyu County, we have a wild orchard. In Xinjiang County, we have another orchard, and the blossom season for these two orchards is late April and early May. So even if you have missed this blossom area, you can go to a different area. So it's quite rare, and you can come here and stay for like 10, 20 days and enjoy this beautiful blossom scenery. For this cherry blossom, for example, the flower season is only 10 to 15 days, but for the other types of orchard, the blossom season is 20 days. So we have been here for more than 10 days, and we are very lucky. And the temperature is picking up day after day, and we can see more and more flowers, and this whole place is becoming greener and lusher, and it's truly a blessing. It's such a great privilege that we can come here for this beautiful season. I hope that all the viewers, you can come here to Huocheng County, to this river valley, and to take a look at the beautiful scenery. We have all types of products, for example, the cherry jam and also the cherry wine. Well, this is very precious resources. I once interviewed an expert, and he said that the wild orchard, they are actually the forefathers of the fruit that we currently eat. Is that correct? Yes, to take, for example, the wild apple. The wild apple is the forefathers of the apples that we eat today. But throughout this process, we have to rely on human intervention. We have to select the best apple seed. Many different apples that we taste today, they come directly from the wild apple orchard. They are quite pure and primitive, but you can actually do some transplantation. You can then give birth to some fine types of apple trees that are quite resistant to drought and to alkaline land. So those trees, they have been here for millions of years, and there are some fine genes. For example, they are resistant to cold, drought, alkali soil, and different bacteria. There must be some fine genes from those trees. And if we can pick them out and transplant it with some of the existing apple trees we have on the market, will that improve the quality of apple in general? Yes, that's very likely, and we can make it more resistant to cold, to drought, to viruses. And you asked the very important question. You have to select out the genes, and this is a genetic engineering project of the trees that we are working on, and we can, for example, transplant the gene into the cells of the new or existing tree, and this is a quite advanced genetic engineering project. So constantly we are giving birth to new types of trees or fruits that are more resistant to drought and cold. And this is a system engineering project. You have to constantly invest so that you can come up with more fine quality fruits. And we're talking about the resources of seeds and the protection of such resources, and this is very important. Yes, the wild orchard is providing a lot of seeds, for example, the wild hawthorn and cherry, to the seeds bank of the country, and they are contributing enormously to China's biodiversity. Well, can I ask a question on behalf of all the viewers? For example, on the market right now, there are a lot of customers who want to have a very sweet fruits. Can we just do that? Yes, we can do that, but it takes time. You have to select those fruits that are very sweet, and we can cultivate that one generation after another. And if it is designated, we can just transplant that. If we found certain types of fruit contains this gene or DNA that can make it very sweet, and then we can cultivate more and more such fruits. Well, this is very lovely, and in the future we can expect more and more fruits that taste very sweet, because the wild orchard itself is a precious resource for that. Well, I'm an outsider. Tell me how you cultivate this. For example, this is the tree. How do you grow this into a tree? Well, it depends on which tree you're talking about. Some trees, they are growing on multiple seed, and you have to spread the seed in the soil. But first and foremost, you have to select the seed. You have to know which fruit has the best seed in it, and then select them out and then put them in the soil, and eventually you may harvest a big tree. Well, over the past few days, I have come across some artificial forests of fruits. Yes, we are cultivating a large acre of the wild cherries. How do you do that? We are mainly relying on transplantation. We pick out the seeds, we transplant it with some local types and also the plums and cherries from Shandong and from other provinces, so that the overall quality can be significantly enhanced. So those trees, they're not very high, but they give you a large quantity of fruits. How is the forest going right now? Well, each and every year it gives a significant production. For example, for per mu of land, we can harvest 1 ton or 2 tons of fruits, and it's quite a positive development. I'm very glad to learn that. So we have to further preserve and better develop those resources. Yes, we can do that to improve the revenue and income of the farmers. The wild cherry plum was the first step that you took. Yes, because it's quite suitable for our experiments, and it's also included in the National Seeds Bank. We need to put in a lot of investment just so that we can have more fruits. All right, we can come to this part. Just have a taste of the cherry jam. So this is the cherry jam from the cherry orchard that we grow at the foot of the mountain. So this is the local apricot. Yes. It's very sweet. It has a beautiful color. It will dehydrate on its own on the tree, but it won't fall on the ground, and we will have to manually pluck them and harvest them. And this is the main type of apricot in Ili River Valley. It's a major source of revenue for the locals. So the wild species here, they are quite resistant to cold and to different bacteria. Is that also the feature of the artificial orchard that you cultivate? Yes, because the very fundamental part of the gene comes from the wild apricot, and the gene was selected from the wild apricots, and it was later transplanted with the existing apricots. So that's why, unlike the primitive or wild orchard, it's quite resistant to cold and to different bacteria. Well, viewers are telling me that I have to have a taste on their behalf, and I will just do that. All right, we can all have a taste of the apricot. Well, this is not my first time enjoying apricot, and this fruit is very popular here in this place. Whenever you have a guest at your home, you will serve them with the apricot. It's sour, and it's also sweet, and it's a very balanced flavor in your mouth. And let me tell you that the seed is even more tasteful, and you can bite it open and enjoy the meat inside the seed. Well, I just cracked open the seed. Well, let me tell you what this is. This is an apple that is quite unique to the Ili River Valley. The last time I came, I was served with this apple, and it's just beautiful. What is this apple called? The locals call it the chilimeng, and it's quite special. It's very fragrant. You can put this apple in your home, and you can smell the fruits inside your whole house. You can open it with your bare hand. Well, I will have to take a bite of this apple on your behalf, and it's a little bit sour, but it's not very sour. And this apple was from last autumn, and it has gone through a winter already. But for this year's apple, you will have to wait till July or August. It's pretty juicy. Well, some viewers they're asking when they come here, can they take back some kebab or some steamed buns? Well, I can tell you the answer is an absolute yes. But here you can enjoy the very tasteful fruits and also the kebab and also those local flavors, and you don't need to take them away, and you can just enjoy them when you are here. Well, over the past few years, due to COVID-19, the tourism business is affected. We're having less tourists. I think everybody is paying a lot of attention to their personal safety and health. They won't come out as clusters or crowds over the past few days. Yesterday and today, because it's weekend, we have seen more tourists, but still it's not quite significant. The local publicity bureau, the publicizing the beautiful scenery through live streaming platforms and live streaming programs, and that's a new way of promoting a tourist destination. We hope that we can all survive this current wave of the pandemic so that when the pandemic is behind us, we can all come out to enjoy the beautiful trees, rivers, blossoms. It's such a great scenery, and it's just beautiful. Take a look at the snow-capped mountain. It's just magnificent. This year, in the spring, we had a couple of snowy days, and it's beautiful just staring at the snow-capped mountains. And we are seated in the shade of the wild cherry trees, and it's just beautiful. We're enjoying this very tasteful wild fruit. So this is the jam from the wild plums. Is that correct? Yes. It's a little bit sour and sweet. We have different ethnic groups, for example, Kazakhs, Uyghurs, Mongolians, and Han Chinese, and altogether we have 13 different ethnic groups. And the tradition here in this part of the country is that when you have a guest at your home, you will take out this jam, and it will go very well with the pancakes that the locals love here. So what is this? This is the wine produced from grape and cherry plum. So this is the wine produced from cherry plum. This one has the degree of alcohol degree of 46, and it's very well designed. So I won't open this wine because we are live streaming this program to a huge number of viewers. But I can tell our viewers that when you like the wine here, you can simply book a air flight, come here, and enjoy the beautiful wine and fruits. produced here in this part of the country. Now I want to bring on the table something else. If you have seen our aerial footages, you've had a bird view of the whole mountains and some trees, and they may look very separate. They may look that they are standing there separately, but if you have a aerial footage, you will see that they are all clustered together. And this is, I think, a treasure left from our ancestors. The of different colors, the blossom is just such a harmonious scene, and they are contributing to the diversity of the seeds bank in China. I don't know how you feel when you see this image, and this is truly a picture of diversity, blossoms of 1,000 different flowers, and this is just mind-blowing. From the west to the very east of the Ili River Valley, if you go all the way to the east, you will end up at the grassland, and that won't bring you any closer to the scenery. So when you come here as a tourist, you can travel the Duku Highway and then travel through the Guozigou Bridge. So at different areas, you can harvest such beautiful scenery. Is there any changes to this tourist route? I heard that some of the sections are blocked. Yes, some sections are blocked because a couple of years ago we had some foreign bacteria that is hurting the wild apple trees. So that is why we are currently blocking this section. We're currently treating the disease, and the situation is improving, and in the future we can expect the reopening of that part of the section. Different prefectures and counties in Ili are taking multiple measures to preserve these wild orchard resources. For example, when the apricots blossoms, the locals would dispatch helicopters to spray pesticide just to guard against the different bacteria. And the video clip that is played shows the pesticide measures that we are taking just to protect the wild plants. And we have some foreign bacteria that can be very detrimental to the wild apricots, and we have some protection and preservation measures just to make sure that the wild animal or wild ecosystem is well protected. This is not easy because we're talking about a very large acre. It's not something that can be done with a couple of staff or a couple of helicopters. So in addition to all this, what the other measures you have, I believe that you must also dispatch ground staff to take care of the trees. Yes, each and every year we hire some professionals to go up close to the trees. They can trim the tree and they can make some diagnosis. They engage in routine patrols just to make sure that the trees are growing well. And each and every year we also distribute brochures among the public just to remind the public the different precautions that we have to take in protecting these wild resources. On a regular basis, in the wild forest, we also conduct drills about fire control and the bacterial control so that we can maximize the preservation of wild resources. You said it very well. We have to pay attention to the detail when it comes to the preservation of wild orchard resources. The protection of wild orchard resources is a systematic project. So in the future, we are going to take more measures than at present. We have, for example, number one, on-site protection. And this means that we are preserving those existing trees. And this means that we have to minimize human intervention. Also, you can see a lot of bushes on the ground. They are part of the biodiversity landscape of the ecosystem. If the bushes they are undermined, it will leave some negative impact on the ecosystem. So this is number one, on-site protection. We have to invest heavily in this on-site preservation. So Mr. Wang, you are the head of the preservation office for cherry plums. So what kind of picture can you expect in the future? Well, I believe in the future we can expect even greater preservation of the cherry plums, and we can give birth to a lot of fine fruits so that we can leverage the existing resources in the future, leveraging high-tech means and tools, we can give birth to better qualities of fruit. Well, we just tasted the jam and wine and the fruits of apricots. So this is a whole industry that is benefiting the local farmers and the local enterprises, and has the life changed here? Definitely there is a change. For example, some companies they are operating the land. We have different bases and enterprises because those enterprises they have their own sales channels. So the farmers they can lease their land to the company. The company will give them support in terms of technology and operation, and they can dramatically improve the productivity of the orchard. On the other hand, the farmers they can turn into workers in the company, and they can also increase their income. Well, this is very well said, and it shows that only if we put into more efforts can we preserve this wild orchard. Our viewers they also advocate even greater preservation of the wild orchard resources, and you can see that everybody is very enthusiastic about the protection of our wild resources. And we're not just showing you the scenery, the beautiful blossom here. We are also highlighting the protection of wild resources. Well, I believe it's very important to preserve the wild resources, and we cannot slacken our effort in preserving what is beautiful. After we have identified the value of beauty, we have to take measures to protect it. And this is an endowment from nature, and we have to put our heart in it. Only in so doing can we better respond to the biodiversity of the nature. It's exactly because of biodiversity that this human world is so beautiful. And right now in China, we are building the world's largest natural bank system. So we have to put our efforts in it just so that we can better protect the nature. And this is the outskirts of the Ili River Valley in Tian Shan Mountain. This is a precious wild treasure. And the blossom, I believe, is the highlight of the color in this part of the country. All right, this is the end of this program today. Well, with this backdrop of the blossoms, we're gonna say goodbye to all of you. I hope that when you have a chance, do travel here to take a look at this beautiful scenery and get engaged in preserving and protecting biodiversity and the mother nature. Thank you.